Let me tell you something about men. The world has fed us a narrative that men fall in love with beauty, with charm, with the perfect smile, or the way a woman walks into the room. Let me break that illusion right here and now. Men fall in love when they see a woman who challenges them. So, yeah, you heard me right. A man is attracted to a woman who doesn't just sit back and follow along, who doesn't just nod to everything he says. No, men fall in love with women who make them think, who push them to be better versions of themselves, who ask the questions that make them dig deep. Men don't fall for the easy path. They fall for the woman who demands growth, who forces them to level up. And let me tell you something else. Men fall in love when they see a woman who is authentic, who doesn't wear a mask or pretend to be something she's not. A man can tell when you're real. He can feel the energy when you stand in your power, when you own who you are, flaws and all. That's the kind of woman who makes a man's heart race, the kind of woman who stops him in his tracks and makes him wonder, who is this force of nature and how did I get so lucky? Men don't want a facade. They want a woman who knows exactly who she is and isn't afraid to show it to the world. That's the kind of love that sticks. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, but especially in love. Men fall in love when they feel that trust from a woman. When they feel they can let their guard down, be vulnerable, and not be judged. Trust is the bedrock on which everything else is built. Men need to know they can rely on their partner, not just for the good times, but for the tough times too. It's that deep emotional connection, the bond that says, I've got your back and you've got mine, that will make him fall harder than he ever thought possible. But it's not just about connection. It's about independence. Men fall in love when they see a woman who has her own ambitions, her own goals, her own life. When you are driven and you're not waiting for someone to complete you, you're already complete. Men fall in love when they see a woman who knows her worth, who's carving her own path, who isn't afraid to chase her dreams. When a man sees a woman with ambition and strength, he doesn't just respect her, he wants to be part of her journey. He wants to stand beside her, not in front of her. And finally, men fall in love when they can just be themselves. No pretenses, no games. When they feel like they can take off the armor they've worn the whole day and just breathe in front of you. That's when real love happens. When they feel safe enough to show their true selves, their vulnerabilities, their fears. That's the moment when everything changes. And love takes root in a way that no force in this world can shake. So here's the truth. Men fall in love when they encounter the kind of woman who challenges them, who is authentic, who builds trust, who is independent, and who gives them the space to be themselves. That's when the magic happens. And not when they see a perfect image, but when they meet a woman who makes them want to be the best man they can be. Now that's real love. Let's talk about challenge. Challenge is not a word we often associate with love or relationships. But let me tell you something, men fall in love when they encounter a woman who challenges them. This is a truth that goes deep. Deep. It's a fundamental force that shapes how men connect, how they engage, and how they fall for someone. Men at their core want to grow. They want to push the limits of what they think is possible. They don't want to settle for mediocrity. They want to dominate, conquer, and evolve. And here's where the magic happens when a woman challenges a man. She gives him something that ignites the fire within him. She isn't just there to support him passively. No, she's there to push him, to stretch him, to force him to rise to the occasion. And that's exactly when men fall in love. Imagine this, a man's life, his ambitions, his dreams, they're all focused on becoming more, doing more, achieving more. But there's always a sense of complacency, an invisible line that keeps him from pushing further. Then a woman enters the scene. She's not impressed with his surface level success. She's not wowed by his title or the things he's achieved so far. She doesn't play by the same rules of comfort and convenience. Instead, she challenges him to go deeper. She challenges him to do better. She challenges him to think outside the box and approach his life in ways he never considered before. This doesn't mean she's simply playing hard to get or creating drama. No, it's deeper than that. It's about her approach to life, She's constantly evolving. She's not static, and she doesn't let him be either. She asks tough questions. She doesn't let him get away with half-hearted answers. She gets under his skin in the best way possible by forcing him to confront his own limitations, his own fears, and his own self-imposed boundaries. When a man faces a woman who challenges him, he is faced with a choice. He can either rise to the occasion or he can back down. And let me tell you something, men don't want to back down. They want to rise. They want to prove to themselves and to the woman they're with that they can go above and beyond what they thought was possible. There's something magnetic about a woman who demands more from him. It's not about control or manipulation. It's about setting a standard. When a man sees that she's not satisfied with anything less than the best version of him, he wants to meet that challenge. He doesn't want to disappoint her. But more importantly, he doesn't want to disappoint himself. This dynamic doesn't happen overnight. It's not about a single challenge or one conversation. It's about the long-term influence that a woman who challenges him has on his life. She becomes a mirror that reflects his potential. Every day, with every interaction, she reminds him that he's capable of more, that he's worthy of greater success, and that he's worthy of pushing himself further than he ever thought possible. This doesn't make him feel small or inferior. It makes him feel alive. It makes him feel like he's part of something bigger than himself, something that's constantly evolving and demanding more of him. Men don't fall in love with the easy path. They don't fall in love with someone who lets them be mediocre. Yucker. They fall in love with women who make them want to be their best selves. They fall in love with women who won't let them settle. And when that woman challenges them, when she forces them to break through their comfort zones, when she lights the fire within them, that's when they realize that this is the woman they can't live without. Challenge isn't about criticism or conflict. It's about setting the bar high, about creating an environment where both partners can thrive, grow, and become better versions of themselves. When a man meets a woman who challenges him in this way, he understands that love isn't about just being there for each other in the good times. It's about encouraging, pushing each other to face the challenges, the struggles, and the tough moments together and come out stronger. Men fall in love with the women who make them better, the ones who push them beyond their limits, the ones who hold up a mirror and say, "You can be more, and I'm here to see you do it." That's how love becomes a force that drives them to levels they never imagined they could reach. Let's dive into something that every man, deep down, craves in a relationship: authenticity. Men fall in love with women who are real. There's something magnetic about a woman who doesn't hide behind a mask, who doesn't try to fit into someone else's mold, and who stands proudly in her own truth. Her own truth. This is not just about a surface level connection, but about something that hits at the core of who she is. Men are drawn to authenticity because it cuts through the noise. It strips away all the pretenses, and it reveals something genuine, something powerful, something they can't ignore. You see, in a world that constantly promotes perfection, it's easy to get lost in the illusion of what we're supposed it to be. Social media tells us how we should look, how we should act, and what we should say to be accepted. But the truth is, men are not looking for a flawless image. They're not looking for a woman who can fit into the perfect picture that society has painted. Men fall in love with women who aren't afraid to be themselves, who show up as they are. No filters, no facades. They fall in love with a woman who is unapologetically real. When a man sees a woman who is authentic, he can sense it. It's not just the words she speaks, but the energy she brings. It's the way she carries herself, the way she interacts with others, and the way she interacts with him. There's a certain confidence that comes with being authentic. It's a confidence that isn't about arrogance or being overly self-assured. It's a confidence that says, I know who I am, and I don't need to prove anything to anyone. That kind of energy is magnetic. It makes him stop and take notice. It makes him think, who is this woman? She's unlike anyone I've ever met. This authenticity doesn't come from perfection. It comes from embracing imperfection. Men fall in love with women who are comfortable with their flaws, who own their mistakes, and who are not afraid to show their vulnerability. They understand that perfection is a myth. The woman who shows up with all her quirks, her imperfections, her scars, and her truths is the one who catches his attention. It's the woman who is not ashamed of who she is, who doesn't hide behind a facade of perfection, that resonates with him the most. Why does this matter? Because men want to connect on a real level. They want to be able to trust that what they see is what they get. They want to be able to let down their guard, to feel safe in the knowledge that the woman they are with is not pretending to be someone else, but is truly showing up as herself. There's a certain freedom in that, a freedom that allows a man to be himself as well. Now, when a woman is authentic, she creates a space where vulnerability and honesty are the foundation. And in this space, true connection can thrive. Men don't fall in love with the woman who plays games, who wears a mask, or who is constantly worried about what others think. What others think. They fall in love with the woman who shows up exactly as she is, without apology. They fall in love with the woman who doesn't need validation from anyone because she already knows her worth. They fall in love with the woman who is comfortable in her own skin, who is at peace with who she is, and who is willing to share that with the world. Being authentic doesn't mean that she doesn't strive for growth or improvement. It doesn't mean that she doesn't have goals, dreams, or aspirations. But it means that she is grounded in the reality of who she is right now. And she is not pretending to be someone she's not. It means she can stand tall, look the world in the eye, and say, "That's just me. Take it or leave it." That's the kind of woman who makes a man sit up and take notice. That's the kind of woman who makes him want to invest in something real. So why is authenticity so important? Because it forms the foundation of trust. Trust isn't built on lies, on facades, or on pretending to be something you're not. Trust is built on the truth. It's built on the understanding that the woman he's with is real, and that he can trust that what she says and does comes from a place of sincerity. Men fall in love with women who are authentic because they know they can count on them. They can count on them to be honest, to be real, and to show up as they truly are. Authenticity is the secret ingredient that makes love meaningful. It's the fuel that ignites deep, lasting connections. When a man meets a woman who is unapologetically herself, he doesn't just see her as a partner. He sees her as someone who makes him feel alive, someone who challenges him to be real as well. That's when love becomes something deeper, something that stands the test of time. And that's when a man falls in love not with an image, but with the woman who is truly, undeniably herself. Let's talk about trust. Trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. Without trust, there's no connection, no depth, no safety. It's the invisible thread that binds two people together and allows them to experience real intimacy, both emotionally and physically. And here's the truth: men fall in love when they feel they can trust a woman, when they feel they can let down their guard and be vulnerable without fear of being judged, ridiculed, or betrayed. Men, by nature, have walls built up. Life, society, experiences have taught them to protect themselves, to keep a part of themselves hidden. They've been taught that showing vulnerability is a weakness, that emotions should be contained, that they need to be the strong, silent type. But here's the thing when it comes to love. A man cannot fully give himself to someone if he feels he cannot trust them. If there is no trust, there is no room for growth, for connection, for genuine love. So when a woman enters his life and he begins to feel like she is a safe space for him, like he doesn't have to keep up the facade of being invincible or impenetrable, that's when something deep happens inside him. Men fall in love when they feel like they can be vulnerable without fear. It's in the quiet moments, the unspoken conversations, the times when he shares his fears, doubts, and insecurities, and she listens without judgment, without dismissing him or making him feel small. Trust is not just about fidelity, though that's obviously an important part. Trust runs deeper than that. It's about emotional security. It's about knowing that when he opens up, he won't be met with disdain or criticism. It's about knowing that the woman in his life is someone who will respect his vulnerabilities, not exploit them. Trust is built in those little everyday moments when she shows up for him, when she listens with intent, when she stands by his side through the good and the bad. Trust is also about consistency. It's not something that's built overnight or in one grand gesture. Trust is earned over time, through actions, through showing up when it matters. A man begins to trust a woman when she's consistent in her words and her actions. He begins to trust her when he sees that she doesn't say one thing and do another. Consistency is key. If a woman says she'll be there for him, and she is, if she says she'll listen, and she does, if she says she supports his dreams, and she actively helps him pursue them, that's when he knows he can trust her. It's in the small things. Trust is built in the moments when she shows him, through her actions, that she has his back, that she's not going to disappear when things get tough. And let's not forget, trust is also about giving each other the space to grow and evolve. Men fall in love when they feel they can trust that the woman in their life won't try to control or change them. A woman who respects his journey, who gives him the freedom to pursue his passions, his ambitions, and even his mistakes, is someone a man can trust. He doesn't feel like he's walking on eggshells. He doesn't feel like he has to walk a tightrope between being himself and living up to someone else's expectations. He feels trusted to be the man he is, to explore, to fail, to succeed, and to grow without being judged or constrained. When trust is present in a relationship, it's like a strong, unshakable foundation that allows everything else to flourish. The connection becomes deeper because both partners know they can be open, they can share their thoughts and feelings, and they can rely on each other. For a man, this means the world. Men want to be understood, but more than that, they want to feel safe in a relationship, knowing that their vulnerabilities will be held with care and respect. There's also something else about trust that is key. It creates a sense of peace. When a man trusts a woman, he doesn't have to constantly second-guess her intentions. He doesn't have to wonder if she's being truthful, if she's hiding something, or if she's going to disappear at the first sign of trouble. Trust brings peace of mind. It creates a secure, stable environment in which both people can thrive. When a man can trust a woman completely, he feels like he can be his best self without fear of judgment. He feels empowered to give his all, to love deeply, because he knows that the woman he's with is someone who values him, who cares for him, and who will stand by him no matter what. Men fall in love when they experience trust. It's the moment when they can finally breathe, when they know they don't have to protect their heart anymore, when they can let it all out and be vulnerable without fear of rejection. Trust isn't just about being faithful or loyal. It's about emotional security, consistency, and the freedom to be yourself. A man who trusts a woman will give her his heart, his mind, his soul. And in return, he will love her deeply because he knows that trust is a rare, beautiful gift, and it is something he will never take for granted. In the end, trust is the invisible force that holds everything together. It's the glue that makes a relationship unbreakable. When a man feels that he can trust a woman, when he feels that he's safe to open up and share the deepest parts of himself, that's when he falls in love. And when he falls in love like that, it's real, it's lasting, and it's something worth fighting for. Let's explore a critical element of attraction, one that often gets overlooked but plays a pivotal role in how men fall in love. Independence. Men fall in love with women who are independent. It might sound counterintuitive to some, but let me make this clear. Men are not drawn to women who need them to feel complete. They fall in love with women who are whole in themselves, who have their own ambitions, passions, and lives outside of the relationship. A woman's independence doesn't push a man away, it pulls him in. Now, you might be thinking, but don't men want to be needed? Don't they want to feel like their presence matters? Of course they do. But there's a huge difference between feeling needed and a healthy, supportive relationship, and feeling like the entire weight of a woman's happiness rests on their shoulders. The difference is this: a man wants to be loved, not because his partner is dependent on him, but because she chooses him. Men fall in love when they realize they are not the source of a woman's happiness, but an important part of it. A woman's independence allows her to be self-sufficient, confident, and free. And when a man sees that in her, he's captivated. He admires it. It creates a kind of respect that runs deep. Independence is about much more than just having a career or hobbies. It's about a woman's ability to stand on her own 2 feet, emotionally, mentally, and physically. It's about being comfortable in her own skin, knowing that she doesn't need someone else to complete her, but that she chooses to share her life with someone because she values the connection, not out of necessity. A woman who is independent is not a woman who doesn't need a man. It's a woman who chooses to be with him because she recognizes his worth and she appreciates the value of a relationship rather than depending on him to fill a void. Here's the thing. Independence in a woman creates space for the relationship to breathe. Men fall in love with women who are strong and self-reliant because those women offer them the freedom to be themselves without suffocating the relationship. Men want a partner, not a caretaker. They fall in love because these women give them space to be who they are, while also challenging them to be better versions of themselves. A woman's independence doesn't threaten a man, it elevates him. It creates a relationship that is strong, fulfilling, and built on mutual respect. This emotional safety allows a relationship to deepen in ways that are impossible otherwise. Creates trust, connection, and intimacy. A man will fall in love with a woman who has the ability to make him feel understood, because in this chaotic world, he knows that he has found someone who accepts him for who he truly is. There's no pretense, no judgment, genuine, empathetic connection. But what makes this even more powerful is the fact that men, for the most part, are not used to being deeply understood in this way. Many men live much of their lives feeling like they have to mask their true selves, like they have to conform to the expectations of others. So when a woman comes along who makes him feel like he is more than just the sum of his achievements, his role, or his persona, it's transformative. It allows him to experience a level of love and connection that he didn't even know was possible. He starts to realize that being seen, truly seen, is one of the most profound gifts a person can offer. And that's when he begins to fall. This deep understanding doesn't just apply to the moments of struggle. It's also present in the moments of joy, excitement, and triumph. A woman who truly understands a man celebrates his successes with him. She doesn't just stand by as an observer. She becomes a true partner, someone who shares in his joy, who uplifts him, and who rejoices in his achievements. This makes him feel even more valued, more appreciated, and more deeply connected to her. She becomes his greatest supporter, his biggest fan, and his equal. In these moments, love blossoms because there's a recognition that they are partners in life, not just in the relationship. Furthermore, the ability to make a man feel understood also helps create a sense of security in the relationship. When a woman demonstrates that she understands him, his past, his triggers, his fears, and his needs, it creates an unspoken bond of safety. He knows that he's not with someone who is constantly questioning him, judging him, or trying to change him. Instead, he's with someone who accepts him as he is, with all his flaws, weaknesses, and quirks. It's about two people who are willing to show up, not as versions of themselves that they think the other person wants, but as who they truly are, and building something incredible together. And if you've ever wondered what makes a man fall in love, now you know.